a world where words seem to lose their value, where noise and superficiality dominate, certain questions arise. Is it possible to show our worth without uttering a single word? Is it possible to know the value and intentions of those around us? Beyond words, the answer, according to ancient Eastern philosophy and the way of the warrior, is a resounding yes. Masters like Miyamoto Musashi believed that true strength was one of the principal qualities a human being should possess, and that it could be demonstrated through actions rather than words. Today, we invite you to embark on this journey of personal transformation, where you will discover how to recognize your worth and become an example to yourself and to the world. I invite you to stay until the end, where you will find valuable lessons to strengthen all your plans in the face of any adversity. If this is your first time on my channel, please help me by subscribing and liking the video so I can continue creating more content like this in the future. Discover in this video how to dive into something real and authentic, understanding your value through a perspective that has withstood the test of time. The Eastern way of the warrior. Yes, you heard right. The warrior's path. This ancient philosophy is not just about being insensitive or enduring pain, but about understanding what truly matters in life, especially in our relationships. Explore techniques to master your inner self and unleash your genuine potential through our warrior guide. It serves as a powerful tool to face life's inevitable obstacles. Visit our website at orientalwarriorpath.com or click the link in the pinned comment to get access right now. Let's begin. Before you start imagining a warrior as an austere, unsmiling figure from antiquity, let me clarify things. The warrior's way is not about suppressing your emotions or being different. It's about understanding what deserves your energy and what doesn't. How you present yourself deserves your energy. So let's talk about what it means to present yourself with dignity in relationships. Sometimes we try so hard to impress someone that we end up losing ourselves in the process. Dressing a certain way, speaking a certain way, all to get that approval. Here's where our Eastern wisdom comes in. Your dignity isn't in the clothes you wear or the places you go, but in how you conduct yourself, in your actions and choices. Picture this. You're in a coffee shop and see two people on a date. One is being flashy, trying to impress, while the other is comfortable in their own skin. Which one do you think will leave a lasting impression? The genuine one. That's the power of presenting yourself with dignity. Warriors strive to live with integrity and self-respect. How does this translate to our modern world? It's simple. If you feel passionate about something, do your best. Let it shine. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about feeling comfortable and secure in your own skin, knowing you are worthy just as you are. Here's another thing. Treat yourself with respect. How you treat yourself sets the standard for how others will treat you. What are you telling the world it's okay to be treated the same way? But if you respect yourself, if you value your time, your energy, your emotions, you're sending a loud and clear message. I am worthy of respect and expect to be treated as such. In the context of relationships, it's not just about how you see yourself or what you say. It's about how you react and conduct yourself in different situations. Are you reacting with desperation or with dignity? Are you compromising your values just to fit in? Or do you hold your ground even if it means standing alone? This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. We're all human. We make mistakes. We have our awkward moments, but it's about how you handle those moments. Do you crumble under pressure, or do you hold your head high and learn from it? Let's reflect on how we can start presenting ourselves with more dignity in our daily interactions. Perhaps one way is to establish clear and healthy boundaries in our relationships, communicating firmly but respectfully what we're willing to accept and what we're not. This allows us to protect our emotional integrity and establish a standard of mutual respect. Another way to present ourselves with dignity is learning to say no to things that don't align with our values and priorities. This might involve refusing commitments or situations that make us feel uncomfortable or go against our principles. By doing this, we affirm our right to live according to our convictions and show ourselves faithful to who we are. Perhaps it's also about treating others with a bit more kindness and respect in our daily interactions. Recognizing the humanity in each person we encounter and showing empathy for their experiences and feelings allows us to build more authentic and meaningful relationships. When we begin to recognize and value our own dignity, we begin to radiate an aura that the outside world perceives. This influences how others see and treat us, creating a positive cycle of mutual respect and appreciation for each individual's dignity. You might be thinking, "Oh, it's just another self-love talk," but stay with me, because here you won't hear about looking in the mirror and repeating how incredible you are. So what does the warrior's way have to do with knowing your worth in relationships? A lot, actually. The warriors teach us that the main thing is to focus on what we can control, and your self-esteem is 100% under your control. It's not about how many likes you get on Instagram or whether someone sends you a friend request on any other social network. It's about how you perceive and value yourself. Think of it this way. Imagine you are a precious stone. Not everyone knows the value of a rare gem, right? Some might pass by it without realizing what it is. But that doesn't change the value of the precious stone. It continues to be valuable, rare, and unique. That's your true reflection. That's you. Genuine, unique, and valuable. Your worth doesn't diminish just because someone doesn't see it. Now let's be a bit realistic. Everyone here has faced rejection at some point. We've experienced the feeling of not being good enough, especially in our hyper-connected world where it seems everyone is living their best life. But here's where the warrior's way comes in to remind us that your worth isn't tied to another person's approval, but to how you live your life, your virtues, and your actions. Are you kind? Are you honest? Are you living in a way you're proud of? That's where your true worth lies. Warriors were great at self-reflection. So take a moment to think about your qualities, not just superficial things, but deeper values. What makes you feel good about being you? Are you compassionate, resilient, or a great listener? These are qualities that form your worth. Here's the secret. When you truly know this, deeply and genuinely, it will change how you interact in your relationships. You won't tolerate mistreatment, not because you're arrogant, but because you respect yourself too much for that. Here's a small warrior exercise for you. The next time you feel undervalued, instead of falling into a spiral of self-doubt, ask yourself what your strengths and values are. It's not about becoming arrogant. It's about quietly recognizing that you are worthy without needing external validation. As Miyamoto Musashi wrote in the Book of 5 Rings, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When we talk about relationships, we enter terrain where recognition of our own worth becomes fundamental. It's important to understand that our worth is not determined solely by others' external perception of us, but resides intrinsically in our own perception of ourselves. It's a daily reminder, a constant practice that invites us to cultivate and nurture our self-esteem and inner confidence each day. Upon waking each day, we have the opportunity to affirm ourselves and our worth, independent of others' opinions or judgments. It's about remembering that we are valuable beings worthy of love and respect, not because someone else says so, but because we firmly believe in our inner being. This path towards self-knowledge and self-acceptance leads us to recognize that our worth doesn't depend on external opinions, but comes from our own essence and authenticity. Each step on this path of self-discovery brings us a little closer to understanding our true worth. It's a gradual and continuous process of personal growth where we learn to recognize and appreciate our unique strengths, virtues, and qualities. As we immerse ourselves in this inner journey, we discover that our worth is not subject to others' approval. Understanding that our worth is something we can cultivate and strengthen over time empowers us to take the reins of our lives and relationships. It frees us from the need to seek external validation and allows us to live from a place of unshakable self-esteem and confidence. In the end, it's about finding strength in our own worth, regardless of whether others recognize it or not, and remembering that we are worthy of love and respect simply for being who we are. Don't tell me, show me. This principle applies perfectly when we talk about establishing boundaries. It's one thing to tell someone what your boundaries are, but it's another to actually demonstrate them through your actions. Think of it this way. Anyone can say they won't tolerate being mistreated, but the moment of truth comes when you actually face that situation. Do you stand firm in your boundaries, or do you allow them to be ignored? That's where your true power lies, not in the saying, it's in the doing. Now, this might not be easy, especially when emotions are involved. But remember what our warrior friends taught us. Everything is under our control, including the choice of how we react to situations. If someone crosses a line, it's your reaction that defines your boundaries, not your words. For example, if you've made it clear that you value honesty and someone lies to you, how you handle that situation says a lot. Walking away or addressing the issue in a direct and calm manner shows that you take your boundaries seriously, not creating drama, just respecting yourself and being respected in a way that aligns with your values. This approach can be a game changer in relationships. When people see that you have boundaries that you won't allow to be crossed, and also norms and values you're determined to enforce, they begin to understand what you'll accept and what you won't. It's about cultivating a sense of self-respect and adhering to it. Here's where it becomes truly warrior-like. It's not just about the big things, but also the small, everyday boundaries. It's how you react when someone cancels plans at the last minute, or how you handle it when someone takes you for granted. You communicate through actions and quiet words that this isn't okay. The practice of mindfulness is much more than simply being present in the moment. It's about diving deep into the experience of here and now, mindfully observing each thought, emotion, and action that arises within us. On this path of self-awareness, we invite ourselves to question and reflect on how our actions reflect our personal boundaries and fundamental values. By being fully conscious of the present moment, we give ourselves the opportunity to evaluate whether our actions are aligned with our boundaries and authenticity. It's a process of constant self-evaluation where we ask ourselves if we're acting according to our deepest principles and values, or if we're deviating from our true being due to external pressures or social expectations. This practice leads us to closely examine each interaction and situation, looking for clues about how we're responding and whether we're being true to ourselves. It invites us to be witnesses to our own boundaries, to recognize when we feel uncomfortable or compromised, and to take measures to protect our integrity and emotional well-being. In the small moments of everyday life is where the true test of our boundaries lies. It's in these seemingly insignificant situations where our true nature and the strength of our character are revealed. Therefore, the practice of mindfulness challenges us to be present in each moment, to be aware of how we're reacting to life's various circumstances, and to cultivate greater clarity and discernment in our actions and decisions. As we move through our daily lives and relate to others, we can adopt a somewhat more warrior-like perspective in how we show and establish our personal boundaries. It's not simply about imposing strict rules or being inflexible in our interactions, but rather cultivating that inner compass that guides us in how we act and react to different situations. This inner compass, inspired by warrior principles, invites us to be aware of our own boundaries and values and to act accordingly at every moment. It's not about closing ourselves off from the outside world or building walls around us, but establishing healthy boundaries that reflect who we are and what we value in life. When we begin to live this way, people around us notice. They begin to perceive us as individuals who not only have clear boundaries, but who also respect themselves enough to have them respected by others. It's as if we were saying, "I will not compromise my principles for the convenience of others." This attitude not only allows us to build more authentic and respectful relationships, but also helps us cultivate a deeper sense of self-esteem and confidence in ourselves. By living according to our boundaries and values, we become a beacon of integrity and authenticity in a world often full of uncertainty and confusion. I know this might sound a bit old-fashioned, maybe even a bit strict, but hear me out. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about respecting yourself and understanding your own worth. What does Eastern philosophy say about this? The warrior's way teaches us the art of self-discipline and control, but not in a rigid and inflexible manner. It's about knowing what is truly valuable and not giving it away carelessly. In a world of instant gratification, this is like a breath of fresh air. Think about relationships or when we're dating someone. Often there's pressure to share everything, our time, our space, our deepest thoughts. But the warriors would advise taking a step back, because something that's easily available often loses its value. It's human nature. If you're always available at the drop of a hat, always saying yes to everything, where's the mystery, the depth, the anticipation? Now let's talk about how to limit access in a dignified and warrior-like manner. First, it's about how you present yourself. Dress elegantly but with modesty. It's not just about fashion, it's a statement of intention that says, I value myself. You're not hiding, but you're also not exposing yourself to everything. There's a balance, a sense that I am more than meets the eye at first glance. Then there's your time and attention. In a world where we're constantly connected, being selective about who receives your time is something powerful. It's not about playing games. It's about saying, my time is valuable and I choose to spend it wisely. If you're with someone, be completely present and engaged. But when you're not, feel good about not being available, because you're focused on your own life, on your passions, on your growth. The warrior's way also teaches us about emotional self-control. This doesn't mean you become cold or distant by any means. It means you don't let just anything affect you deeply. You maintain a certain inner calm. You don't give your emotional energy to just anyone. They also have to earn it. I'm not saying you should become a warrior statue. We're all human, and connection is what makes life rich. But there's beauty in taking things calmly, in building a connection that's not based solely on instant access and immediate gratification. It's about building something that has depth, something that lasts. Remember always that limiting access is not about playing with others' feelings or manipulating situations to our favor. On the contrary, it's an act of profound self-respect and coherence with our fundamental values. Limiting access means demonstrating not just with empty words, but with concrete actions that we value ourselves and that we deserve to be valued equally by others. It's a process that involves being a bit more selective in our interactions, a bit more careful in our decisions, and a bit more measured in our expressions. It's about finding that delicate balance between sharing openly and at the same time retaining a part of ourselves, thus protecting our emotional integrity and our self-esteem. By adopting this approach, we're following in the footsteps of the warriors in our modern world of dating and relationships. We're committing to live according to our deepest principles and to establish clear boundaries that reflect our dignity and self-evaluation. Believe me, this approach makes all the difference in how we're perceived and treated by others. By valuing ourselves and acting with the firmness and coherence of warriors, we're sending a clear message to the world around us that we deserve to be treated with respect and consideration, and that we're not willing to compromise our integrity out of fear of loneliness or lack of acceptance. As we've been exploring, the warrior's way is about practical wisdom. It's about judging people by their actions, not just by their sweet words. We live in a world full of charming words and empty promises, especially when it comes to relationships. But the warriors tell us to look beyond that. They teach us to observe actions because they reveal the truth. Think about it. It's easy to say all the things we believe are right or what others want to hear, making promises, painting a future that sounds perfect. But are they leading by example? Do their actions back up their words? That's where the real story is. Let's be realistic for a moment. We've all been there. We meet someone and they start telling us all these beautiful and amazing things and we get carried away. But then, over time, the actions don't match. They say they'll call and don't. They make plans and cancel at the last minute, and yet their words grip us tightly. Here's where our inner warrior needs to step in. The warrior's way teaches us not to get carried away by words, nor to be overwhelmed by emotions. It's about being rational, seeing things as they are. If someone's actions aren't consistent with their words, that's a red flag. It's the universe's way of telling us, hey, pay attention, something's wrong here. This shift in focus really transforms the dynamics of our relationships. Instead of diving into words and romantic promises, we begin to pay attention to subtler details. How do they react in moments of stress? Do they follow through on what they say? Are they present for us not just in words, but in a genuine and tangible way? Here's the truly fascinating part of this process. When we focus on actions, we set a standard and send a clear and compelling message that says, I'm not just listening to what you say, I'm watching what you do. People around us realize they can't simply recite sweet words to earn a place in our lives. They must demonstrate their worth and true intentions through concrete and consistent actions. This shift in perspective empowers us to discern with greater clarity and wisdom in our relationships. It allows us to recognize the gap between words and actions and helps us build more authentic and meaningful bonds based on mutual trust and genuine respect. Ultimately, it leads us to cultivate healthier and more satisfying relationships in which coherence between words and actions is fundamental. It's important to keep in mind that this isn't about adopting a cynical or distrustful stance toward all the people around us, but rather exercising an adequate level of discernment and prudence to protect our heart and inner peace. With a layer of warrior wisdom, this wisdom invites us not to allow our emotions to dictate our actions, but to remain firm in our fundamental principles and values. It's about finding a healthy balance between heart and mind, between passion and reason. In this sense, it's essential to remember that we should observe people's actions, listen to their words, and adopt a warrior attitude in love, being rational, observant, and wise in our interactions and personal relationships. It's recognizing that in the end, it's concrete actions that truly reveal people's feelings and intentions, much more than mere words. Therefore, by committing to this philosophy of life, we empower ourselves to make more informed and conscious decisions in our relationships, based on a deep understanding of reality and an honest appreciation of ourselves and others. In the warrior's way, there's this beautiful concept of detachment, not in a cold or insensitive way, but in the sense of understanding what we can and cannot control. And one of the most powerful things we can control is our decision to stay in or leave a situation that isn't right for us. Here we're also referring to relationships. We've all been in that situation where everything in us says, this isn't what we deserve, but we stay. Maybe it's the fear of being alone, the fear of change, or we simply cling to the hope that things will change, that they'll get better. But here's the plot twist. The real power lies in recognizing that staying in a situation that compromises our values is within our control, and we can choose differently. This doesn't mean that at the first sign of problems you should abandon everything. Relationships require work, commitment, and patience. Mainly, it's about knowing your worth so deeply that when something goes against it, you're ready to walk away. It's about having that inner strength, that warrior fortitude to say, I value myself enough not to accept less than I deserve. Let's delve a bit deeper into this topic. Being prepared to walk away is an act of self-affirmation. It implies having the clarity and inner strength to recognize when a situation or relationship isn't aligned with your fundamental values and your sense of dignity. But let me emphasize that this doesn't need to be a tumultuous process filled with drama. Often it's a serene and conscious decision, a quiet understanding that you deserve something better. I know that facing the unknown can be intimidating. However, it's in those moments of challenge that we can remember the lessons of the warriors, who urge us to embrace adversity with courage and accept that life is in constant change. Recognizing that you have the courage to let go of what doesn't serve is like opening space for new opportunities and experiences in your life. It's like clearing the path for growth and personal renewal. It's important to understand that you're not clinging to a situation out of necessity or fear. You're making the conscious decision to honor your own emotional well-being and happiness. By having the courage to leave what no longer nourishes you, you're taking a step forward toward a brighter and more satisfying future. You're saying yes to yourself and to the possibilities that await you beyond the known. So while we reflect on the idea of being prepared to walk away, let's remember that this act of courage and authenticity allows us to open ourselves to new opportunities and experiences in life. It reminds us that we deserve to live fully and that we have the power to create the kind of life we desire. While we savor our coffee and let these reflections settle in our minds, let's remember that being prepared to walk away doesn't imply adopting a cold or distant attitude toward others. On the contrary, it's about manifesting self-love and deep respect for ourselves, which enables us to recognize and defend our own boundaries and needs. By saying, I deserve something better, we're not issuing a dismissive judgment toward others, but reaffirming our own worth and dignity. It's recognizing that we deserve relationships that respect us and propel us toward personal and emotional growth. By having the courage to walk away from what doesn't serve us, we're affirming our self-esteem and honoring our deepest needs. In this process of being ready to walk away, We also cultivate the capacity to discern what we truly value in our relationships. It allows us to identify unhealthy or toxic patterns and make decisions aligned with our well-being and long-term happiness. Therefore, let's remember that being prepared to walk away is an act of self-love and an expression of our commitment to a full and authentic life. It's a constant reminder that we deserve to be treated with respect and consideration in all our interactions, and that we're willing to defend that right with determination and firmness. In the warrior's way, there's a strong emphasis on personal integrity and the courage to defend your principles. This applies directly to our capacity to say no in relationships. It's about knowing what you believe in and not being afraid to maintain your standards, even if it means rocking the boat. Imagine you're dating someone and they suggest something that doesn't seem right to you. Maybe it's moving too fast or compromising your values in some way. The easy route would be to simply go along with it. But here's where your inner warrior needs to step in and say no at this moment. It's about respecting yourself, your values, and your boundaries. I'm not saying this is easy. On the contrary, it can be incredibly difficult, especially when you like the person. There's always that voice in the back of your head saying, "What if this drives them away?" But here's where we must be brave. The warrior's way teaches us about courage, not just to face external challenges, but internal ones too. Saying no is not just about having self-respect. It's about showing that you value yourself enough not to settle for less than you deserve. Certainly, you could lose them, but here's the key. If saying no to something that goes against your values drives someone away, then maybe, just maybe, they weren't right for you. This approach can really change the dynamics of a relationship. When someone sees that you're not afraid to say no, that you're not there just to please them at the cost of your own values, it changes their perspective. It shows that you're someone who respects themselves, someone who values themselves. Here's another warrior twist. Rejecting something contrary to our values is not just about establishing boundaries with others. It's also about being honest with yourself. It's about recognizing what you truly want and not wanting to exactly compromise in a relationship. It's about not letting the fear of being alone lead you to make decisions that aren't right for you. Saying no is actually an act of authenticity and self-affirmation. It allows us to establish healthy boundaries and remain true to our fundamental values. It's a manifestation of living with integrity, just as the warriors taught us, reminding us of the importance of standing firm in our convictions and acting coherently with our principles. When we say no, we're honoring our authentic needs and desires, instead of yielding to external expectations or others' demands. We're affirming ourselves and establishing a precedent for relationships based on mutual respect and genuine understanding. It's crucial to say that saying no doesn't mean being selfish or insensitive toward others, but rather it's a form of self-care and authenticity. By establishing clear boundaries and expressing our needs honestly, we foster healthier and more meaningful relationships where both we and others are valued and respected for who we truly are. Therefore, let's remember that it's perfectly fine to say no. It's an expression of self-love and an important step toward building authentic and satisfying relationships. By embracing our capacity to say no when necessary, we position ourselves in a place of personal power and allow ourselves to live with integrity and authenticity in all our interactions. Skepticism and the warrior's way go hand in hand. Warriors try to see things as they really are, not as they're expected to be. In the world of love and dating, you might wonder if this is relevant. We've all heard someone say the words we want to hear, as if they were the right ones, and we want to believe them, ignoring the warning signs waving in the background. This is where our inner warrior comes into action. Having a good dose of skepticism is like having a superpower. It doesn't mean you're negative or cynical. It's about keeping your feet on the ground, not taking everything at face value. It's about observing, questioning, and not diving headfirst without thinking a bit. Let's put this in context. Imagine this scenario. You meet someone and think they're great. They're saying all these wonderful things to each other, planning a future together. However, only a few weeks have passed since you met. Your warrior side would say, "Go slow, don't rush. Let's see if their actions match their words and how things unfold." This skepticism isn't about bombarding the other person with questions or doubting their every move. It's more about being aware, listening to what they say and also observing what they do. It's about taking time to really know someone, to see if they're consistent, if they're genuine. The warriors greatly valued the use of logic and reason, not simply getting carried away by emotions. In relationships, this is crucial. It's true that finding the balance between our emotions and logic can be quite a challenge in relationships. However, by cultivating a bit of skepticism, we can give space to our rationality to evaluate situations more objectively and clearly. By maintaining a certain degree of skepticism, we don't get carried away by the emotional current of the moment, but make decisions grounded in reality and our genuine needs. It allows us to discern between what is beneficial for us and what could represent a threat or obstacle to our emotional well-being. Moreover, skepticism gives us the opportunity to protect our heart from possible disappointments or emotional harm. By not rushing into situations without having adequately evaluated the circumstances, we grant ourselves the necessary space to better understand the other person, their intentions, and their compatibility with our own needs and values. It's not simply about erecting barriers or walls around our heart, but about opening doors with discernment. By being a bit skeptical, we can stay alert and aware of our emotions, allowing us to explore new connections with a clear mind and protected heart. The warrior's way as a philosophy of life urges us to tune into the very essence of existence, to flow with the natural rhythms of the universe, and to embrace reality with serenity and acceptance. In the context of love, these teachings acquire profound and transformative relevance. By adopting a warrior perspective, we recognize that both we and our loved ones are imperfect beings, subject to life's vicissitudes and human limitations. Instead of seeking perfection in others or in ourselves, we embrace imperfections as an integral part of the human experience. We value authenticity over appearance, finding beauty in vulnerability and sincerity. By accepting these imperfections with compassion and understanding, we create space for mutual growth and genuine connection. The practice of acceptance and understanding gives us the opportunity to cultivate solid and meaningful relationships where genuine connection and mutual support are fundamental pillars. Instead of fighting against reality or trying to mold others according to our desires, we learn to adapt and flow with the circumstances presented to us, finding deep meaning of peace and satisfaction in the present moment. By practicing acceptance, we recognize and embrace both our own imperfections and those of others. We accept that we are human beings with limitations and that it's natural to make mistakes and face challenges in our relationships. Instead of judging ourselves or judging others, we allow ourselves to be compassionate and understanding, recognizing that we're all doing our best with the tools and resources we have at any given moment. Understanding invites us to put ourselves in others' shoes, to empathize with their experiences and struggles. We recognize that each individual has their own story, their own wounds, and their own motivations, and we strive to understand their perspective with compassion and empathy. By doing this, we strengthen the bonds of connection and trust in our relationships, fostering an environment of mutual support and unconditional understanding. Ultimately, the practice of acceptance and understanding allows us to cultivate more authentic and meaningful relationships where love and connection flourish naturally in an environment of mutual acceptance and respect. By learning to flow with circumstances and embrace reality as it is, we find deep satisfaction and fulfillment in our relationships, allowing love to flourish in all its splendor. By honoring and celebrating our shared humanity, we embrace the richness of our interpersonal connections and recognize our deep interconnection with all beings. This approach invites us to cultivate compassionate and understanding love that goes beyond the boundaries of ego and embraces the diversity and uniqueness of each individual. By recognizing that we're all navigating life's journey together, we become allies and traveling companions for those who cross our path, committing to support each other through life's ups and downs, both moments of joy and celebration as well as challenges and difficulties, with equanimity and empathy. This type of love knows no borders or limits, as it transcends the barriers of difference and separation, uniting us in the shared experience of humanity, recognizing our unity in diversity, and finding deep meaning of connection and belonging in our interaction with others. By embracing this compassionate and understanding love, we nourish deeply meaningful and enriching relationships that provide us with support, comfort, and joy in our journey through life. Instead of focusing on ourselves, we direct our attention to others, offering our loving and understanding presence as a beacon of hope and comfort in a world often turbulent and chaotic. In summary, the Warrior's Way invites us to embrace reality as it is, finding beauty and meaning in every experience, including relationships and love. By practicing acceptance, understanding, and compassion, we cultivate authentic and deeply satisfying relationships rooted in genuine connection and unconditional mutual support. This relates beautifully to everything we've discussed, especially when we look through our warrior lens. In the Warrior's Way, there's great emphasis on focusing on what's within our control and letting go of what isn't. This philosophy is incredibly powerful when applied to relationships. It's about understanding that chasing someone who's pulling away is not only futile, but also not aligned with respect for ourselves and our own worth. Imagine this scenario. You're dating someone and things seem to be going well, but then they start to distance themselves. We've all been through similar situations and wanted to chase, to try to close that gap. But here's where our warrior teachings come in. The warriors would say, wait, you're chasing what's not under your control. What happens to your dignity, your self-respect, and your peace of mind? Chasing someone who's pulling away is like trying to capture water without it escaping through your fingers. It's ineffective and leaves you feeling empty. However, here's the key. When you have the courage to let go of what doesn't serve, you're opening space for something better. It's like clearing clutter to make room for freshness and newness. Although it can be challenging to walk away from what doesn't nourish you, it's an act of authentic self-love. The warrior approach is to remain firm in our own worth. If someone is pulling away, let them go. It's not about being cold or insensitive. It's about recognizing that you can't control how another person feels or acts. You can only control how you respond. Now let's be honest, this isn't easy. It requires a lot of strength not to chase, not to give in to that impulse. But it's about trusting that if someone really wants to be with you, they will be. When you stop chasing, you start focusing on yourself, on your own life, and incredible things happen. You attract people who are drawn to that strength and confidence you radiate. It's as if you're sending a signal that says, I'm worth it. Let's be warriors in our approach to relationships, respecting ourselves and focusing on what we can control. It's about finding peace within ourselves, not validation from another person. You have the power to choose how to react to the world around you. Remember that you are the architect of your own dignity, the guardian of your self-esteem. Embrace that power. Let your actions, your choices, and your boundaries speak of the incredible person you are. These are some of the ways you can show your worth and recognize that of others, following the advice of the Warrior's Way through actions, not words. Remember that courage is not something that's said, but something that's demonstrated with actions. I hope this topic has illuminated your path. If so, don't wait any longer and delve deeper into your own being, into what you're experiencing. Remember that you're not alone in this journey. Share your experience in the comments, and if you find it appropriate, give us a like and subscribe to the channel to continue growing and learning together in the wisdom of the Warrior's Way. Unconditional love is a fundamental concept in Eastern warrior philosophy that goes beyond simply loving others without expecting anything in return. It implies recognizing and valuing the intrinsic worth of each human being, regardless of their actions, achievements, or circumstances. By practicing unconditional love for ourselves, we commit to accepting and valuing ourselves as we are, with our virtues and flaws. This implies cultivating a relationship of compassion and acceptance with ourselves, freeing ourselves from excessive self-criticism and negative judgment. Furthermore, unconditional love for others implies going beyond simply showing empathy and compassion for their experiences and struggles. It's also about accepting people as they are, without trying to change them or judge them for their actions or decisions. Being present for others in their moments of need implies much more than simply offering a shoulder to cry on. It's about cultivating a genuine and deep connection with those around us, meaning being willing to actively listen, understand their concerns and fears, and offer necessary support, even when it means stepping out of our comfort zone. By practicing this type of unconditional support, we're not only demonstrating our empathy and compassion for others, but we're also strengthening our own relationships. When we commit to being present for others in their moments of need, we're building lasting bonds based on mutual respect and trust. It's important to remember that unconditional support isn't limited just to moments of crisis. It also implies being there to celebrate others' triumphs and achievements, sharing their joy, and celebrating their successes. It's a form of solidarity and camaraderie that further strengthens our bonds with those who surround us. A key practice of unconditional love is learning to forgive and let go of resentment or bitterness toward those who have hurt or disappointed us. This implies recognizing our own humanity and that of others, understanding that we all make mistakes and face challenges in life. Forgiving doesn't mean justifying others' actions or ignoring the harm they've caused us, but rather freeing ourselves from the emotional weight we carry by clinging to resentment, allowing us to move forward with compassion and inner peace. By practicing unconditional love and forgiveness, we're not only strengthening our relationships with others, but also growing and evolving as individuals. When we choose to forgive and love unconditionally, we're choosing to free ourselves from the weight of resentment and bitterness, opening ourselves to the possibility of meaningful personal growth. Unconditional love invites us to accept others as they are, with all their imperfections and flaws, recognizing their intrinsic worth as human beings. It challenges us to show compassion and empathy for them even when they've hurt or disappointed us, and to remain open to the possibility of reconciliation and deeper understanding. Moreover, forgiveness allows us to free ourselves from the past and move forward with greater clarity and inner peace. By leaving behind resentment and rancor, we open space for personal growth and emotional healing, allowing us to close painful chapters and open ourselves to new experiences and opportunities for genuine love and connection. In summary, practicing unconditional love and forgiveness allows us to build healthier and more meaningful relationships based on mutual acceptance, respect, and personal growth. It offers us the opportunity to experience deeper and more enriching connection with ourselves and others, and to live a fuller and more satisfying life. In today's society, we often fall into the trap of putting others on a pedestal, losing our own direction in love. By managing your own path, you'll see how you become more valuable. As Miyamoto Musashi wrote in his treatise on strategy, "No one can harm you without your consent. Don't allow others to control you." This powerful quote is a reminder that ultimately, we are the guardians of our inner peace and emotional well-being. In a world where others' critical opinions and judgments can be omnipresent, it's essential to understand that we have the power to choose how they affect us. Being masters of our minds and emotions is a call to self-reflection and authenticity, to be who we are without fear of external judgment. When we internalize this warrior principle, we become masters of our own destiny, and our self-esteem and self-respect flourish, which makes us more valuable and important to others. Therefore, when facing challenges and criticisms in our lives, let's remember this powerful truth from the way of the warrior. No one can harm you without your consent. Ceasing to initiate conversations in a world where constant communication is the norm may seem challenging, but it has its roots in warrior wisdom. Philosophers like those who followed the way of the sword reminded us of the importance of listening more than speaking. By allowing others to initiate conversations, by letting others begin the dialogue, we learn more about them and about ourselves. Being ready to speak can seem anxious and sometimes egocentric, which often drives people away. Patience and willingness to let others initiate conversations align with building genuine and high-value relationships. This approach, centered on applying warrior principles in daily life, is a powerful tool for personal growth and strengthening authentic and meaningful relationships. By incorporating concepts such as creating a sense of valuable scarcity, practicing patience, moderation in availability, cultivating independence, and the capacity to let others initiate interactions, you're positioning yourself for a more balanced and authentic life. The warrior's way, as a philosophy of life, doesn't limit itself to just influencing how we relate to others, but also drives a radical change in how we perceive ourselves internally. By adopting and applying these principles, we embark on an introspective journey that leads us to discover serenity amid turbulence, make more conscious and deliberate decisions, and face challenges with mental strength that makes us unbreakable. The essence of the warrior's way lies not only in how we relate to the external world, but in how we forge an intrinsic connection with our own essence. By following these precepts, we not only learn to deal with external circumstances, but also enter an internal path of self-knowledge and self-mastery. These principles become an internal compass that guides our decision-making, teaching us to find balance amid chaos, face uncertainty with calm, and cultivate the mental resilience necessary to overcome adversity in a meaningful and profound way. Ultimately, the warrior's way translates into an internal transformation that not only shapes our external relationships, but also revolutionizes our understanding and perception of ourselves, allowing us to live a fuller, more authentic life with a deeper purpose. This is a central practice in the warrior's way that can have a profound impact on our relationships. This philosophy reminds us of the importance of remaining true to what we consider right and just, including in the context of an intimate relationship. When we apply this concept to our loving relationships, it means we must ensure that the relationship is aligned with our deepest values and principles. This implies reflecting on what those values are for us and how they manifest in our daily life and relationships. For example, if honesty and trust are fundamental values, then it's essential that our relationship be based on transparency and open communication. Similarly, if we value mutual respect and equality, we must ensure that our interactions with our partner reflect these principles. Making decisions based on our values also means being true to ourselves, even when we face challenges or external pressures in the relationship. It may involve making difficult decisions such as establishing healthy boundaries or ending a relationship that doesn't meet our ethical standards. When we commit to living according to our values in a loving relationship, we're establishing the foundations for a meaningful and lasting connection. This commitment not only strengthens our own personal integrity, but also contributes to cultivating an environment of trust, respect, and mutual growth in the relationship. Aligning our actions and decisions with our values allows us to act consistently with what we consider important in life and in our interactions with our partner. For example, if we value loyalty, we'll strive to be faithful and trustworthy in our relationship. If we value generosity, we'll seek ways to support and care for our partner selflessly. This congruence between our values and actions creates a sense of authenticity and sincerity in the relationship. Our partner perceives that we are people of integrity and trustworthiness, which strengthens the bond of trust between us. Moreover, by acting in accordance with our values, we inspire our partner to do the same, fostering mutual growth and greater understanding between both. Furthermore, living according to our values helps us overcome challenges and conflicts that may arise in the relationship. When we face difficult situations, we can turn to our values as a guide for making ethical and constructive decisions. This allows us to resolve problems respectfully and constructively, rather than compromising our principles or acting impulsively. Ultimately, living according to our values in a loving relationship not only promotes our own happiness and well-being, but also enriches the connection with our partner. By building together on a foundation of integrity and mutual respect, we can create a solid and satisfying relationship that endures over time. Practicing virtue in a loving relationship implies much more than simply acting with honesty, loyalty, compassion, and respect toward our partner. It's about committing to be the best versions of ourselves in all aspects of our shared life. Virtue invites us to deepen honesty, which goes beyond transparency and communication. It means being authentic in our interactions, showing ourselves as we are with our strengths and areas for improvement. By doing this, we foster an environment of mutual trust where both can grow and develop freely. Loyalty in a virtuous relationship not only implies emotional and physical fidelity, but also a lasting commitment to support and be present for our partner in all circumstances. It's being there in difficult moments, offering a shoulder to lean on, and a hand to help overcome challenges together. Compassion as part of virtue calls us to put ourselves in our partner's shoes, understand their perspectives, and be empathetic with their experiences and emotions. It's being willing to offer comfort and support when necessary and celebrate their joys as if they were our own. In a relationship based on mutual respect and virtue, an environment of trust and mutual support is promoted. This means not only recognizing our partner's value as an individual, but also fostering their personal and professional growth, actively listening to their opinions and concerns, seeking to understand their point of view, and collaborating in making decisions that benefit both. This is about recognizing your uniqueness and value. It's not just about your mere presence in someone's life, but becoming a significant and essential element in another person's world. This recognition implies understanding that what is obtained easily tends to be undervalued or little valued. Authentic appreciation arises from effort and dedication. When someone invests their time, emotions, and energy in your life, a stronger and more lasting bond is created. This process transforms your role from being a simple passage or curiosity to becoming a genuinely appreciated presence. It's not about desperately seeking others' attention or love, but demonstrating that you are a valuable and enriching contribution to their lives, deserving of genuine and authentic interest. Allowing others to invest in you implies giving them the opportunity to make your presence an invaluable aspect of their lives, something they wouldn't want to lose. The words of the warrior philosopher resonate in this idea. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a person perfected without trials. This underlines the essence of your worth, not just in being, but in being sought and fought for. Reflecting on the story of a great warrior and his master illustrates how the value of valuable teaching and the relationship between master and student transcends the conventional. A wise philosopher wasn't simply a tutor in the young warrior's life, but presented himself as a beacon of knowledge and strategic thought essential for governing an empire. The warrior, known for his ambition and intellect, understood the value of his master's lessons and dedicated considerable time and effort to learning from him. In summary, practicing virtue and allowing others to invest in you are central practices that enrich our relationships, strengthening bonds based on integrity, mutual respect, and joint growth toward authentic and deeply satisfying relationships. My friends, as you embark on this journey to the heart of the warrior's way, remember that being the rock in the storm isn't about avoiding challenges, but facing them with the unbreakable strength that resides within you. Let these warrior secrets guide you toward a life of self-focus, resilience, and the profound joy that comes from mastering your own mind. As Miyamoto Musashi once said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." I sincerely hope this message has been useful. I want to sincerely congratulate you for having come this far and completed the video. This means you desire to improve as a person. If you liked the video, leave your comment. If you don't know what to comment, comment gratitude, so I'll know you watched until the end. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and join us. The Warrior's Way is full of teachings like this that are applicable to our daily life. Therefore, I encourage you to continue learning about this philosophy. I leave here 2 videos full of warrior wisdom for you to continue learning. Until next time, have you ever felt like you were navigating a sea of uncertainties, looking for a compass to guide your path? If the answer is yes, I have a special invitation for you. Having a mentor, a master who can offer the guidance and support you need to find your direction, is with joy that I present to you the ebook, The Oriental Warrior Path. More than a book, it's a companion on your journey of self-discovery. This guide has been carefully crafted by us from the channel for people like you who seek guidance, clarity, and purpose amid life's complexities. I invite you to join this adventure of self-knowledge and personal growth. Allow yourself the experience of having a master by your side, guiding each step of your path. Don't wait any longer. Click the link below and acquire your ebook now. Join us on this journey of self-knowledge and discover how Eastern warrior philosophy can illuminate your path.